your flesh and blood.
Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, new paradigms for a new world where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here 9 times a week, Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, as well as YouTube, where you can watch these conversations. I hope that you will take time to subscribe and click notifications so that when a new conversation is posted, you'll be notified and you'll be able to tune in, listen in, and learn, be entertained and inspired. A reminder that Choices, which is my book, 5 Steps for Life, it's available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle with Audible, soon to be released. We also ask that if you can support the work that we are doing financially, we do have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And when they ask for an email address to whom you're sending, please go to richard@richarddugan.com. That's the email address. If you go to richarddugan.com, there is also a link directly to PayPal so that you can send us whatever support you can. And we thank you to those who have helped and to those who will help. We also ask that you take time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. And with that, we now take you to our very special interview and guest here on Tell Me Your Story. And welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Reverend Dr. D. Richard Dugan, and Soma ARah is with us here on the program, and it's always a pleasure to have her with us to talk about things of, well, I don't really want to put it in the context of things of an extraterrestrial nature. No, it's really not what we're talking about. What we are talking about is a connection that she has with, in particular, the Pleiadians. First of all, welcome back. It is always a pleasure to have you here on the program. And of course, because you're all the way there in Ireland, it's always nice to connect again to the Emerald Isle through you and other guests that I have from there. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Richard. I'm delighted to be here. I love coming on and channeling for you and your audience. So thank you for the opportunity. Yeah,
it's and just to inform people who are maybe tuning in for the first time. This may be the first time that they've listened or watched one of these programs, these conversations with you, Soma. It's something that is for some, it would be kind of unusual. I mean, it's becoming more mainstream that we have more people who are in contact and connected with other, shall we say, entities, whether they be in the material world or on the other side of the veil, as it were. Just give us a real quick synopsis as to how you started to communicate and get these messages from the Pleiadians. And now I'm trying to remember the head of I want to say Ashtar, not Arcturus, Ashtar. But tell us how that all began for you.
That began in my early childhood. My first experience was when I was 8, and I left my body due to trauma. And without going into detail, it involved men. So I'm sure your audience will know what I mean by that. Mm-hmm. But I left my body and I connected to the Pleiadians, or they connected to me. And I didn't know who they were at the time, but I've had a connection to them ever since. And I've gone on to do a lot of shamanic training, and I was very involved in the Buddhist religion for a while and the spiritualist churches in the UK mostly. So I went on to develop a lot, but my whole childhood was really a very core, strong foundation of a lot of experiences of connecting with many non-physical spirit, whether it was human spirit and our loved ones and my granddad, or whether it was nature spirits, which was very strong for me. I had a lot of elementals and nature spirits experiences as a child, because I grew up in London, and then in the summer we would go to Ireland. And when my mum first emigrated back to Ireland from Namibia, we lived in Ireland for a couple of years. So I had that was a great experience for me, because I was really opened up to the spirit world and different dimensions from a very young age. And I understand now that I contracted myself in to have those experiences, and was contracted in with my soul contract to have those experiences, and to part of my mission is to channel the Pleiadians in this lifetime. So I had a very unusual childhood that brought about a lot of positive experiences through trauma. And yeah, so I've been very blessed in this lifetime in my connection and the psychic abilities and the mediumship, and being able to communicate with, I'll say, non-physical beings, but they could be on different dimensions. So for example, our loved ones in spirit, I'm able to, as a medium, I'm able to communicate with spirit and loved ones. And I'm also able to communicate with the Pleiadian energies, which are loving, positive ET energies. So I really have a whole backstory there.
That's interesting, because a lot of people wouldn't think that you would get a positive outcome, if you will, or experience especially when it came to trauma. And yet that's kind of the way that you described that, that it was a positive thing, or in the sense that, I don't want to say it was a positive thing, but you were able to turn it into something positive for you and move forward. One of the things that I loved with one of my guests some months ago was the fact that the event is not the trauma. It's our perception of the event outside of ourselves. Whether it involves another person, or, we see some kind of car crash or disaster, what have you. You and I can take a look at the same event. We're going to have two different reactions to it. One may be of that you're traumatized, and the other may be that you're not, just because of our personal experiences. Is that something that the Pleiadians have talked about in terms of helping people to sort of move forward in their lives, to achieve some of the things that maybe they have wanted to, but for the longest time they've been stuck? They've just been stuck, in a place that they just, for whatever reason, they just can't seem to break free of.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's a great question. And even, with myself in my own life, there's been, even now, sometimes I do get stuck, but especially in the past, and a lot of people do get stuck, but it's about perspective. It's about your viewpoint and how you look at things. And I would, if people are stuck, I would recommend that you have you change your perspective, you change your viewpoint. One of the things that I've heard it said, that if you are struggling in life with changes, that it's really your flexibility to adapt to your life now and to those changes that is really brings about success. It's the ability to adapt to the changes that brings about success and an unstuckness, an allowance and acceptance of what is real for you in the present moment, what is occurring in your life, what is happening, and going with the flow of those changes, and acceptance that this is the way things are, and things were different yesterday or before or back then. Things were different, and this is where I am today. And it's really an acceptance of allowing ourselves to be in the present moment that allows us to move forward.
Are you seeing, or maybe is the guidance that you are getting from the Pleiadians and Ashtar, showing that we are, as a species, starting to make some progress beyond a lot of what people are calling this chaotic situation that we find globally, not just in one country, but around the world, because there's just a lot of stuff that's happening that some people are finding, if I may, very traumatic.
Yes. Will I go into a channeling to answer that? And is that okay, Richard, if I step into a channeling?
Please do.
Okay, great.
Please do.
Okay, lovely. So it might take me a few moments, but I'll try and...
Not a problem. And while you're doing that, I will let our listeners know that we are talking with Soma ARah, and we're going to connect with the Pleiadians and possibly Ashtar, and we'll find out who that will be here in just a moment as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story. I'm Reverend Dr. D, along with Soma ARah, and we encourage you to get more information from her. You can connect with her by going to somaarah.love, and that's SOMAARAH.love. Will be linked to that website as well. And if we are ready now, who are we connected with at this time?
We are delighted to be with you again. We see that you have yourself moved forward somewhat and released some of the energetic shackles that were holding you back. We are the Pleiadian Collective, with Ashtar, Commander-in-Chief or Chief Commander, as our spokesperson. Today we also have with us the Lyran energies, and we have Yeshua or Jesus with us, as well as Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary. There is a huge shift on your planet that has began some time ago. It is a shift in consciousness on your planet, and as more light comes in, the dark is being exposed on your planet. So it is not that there is more dark, but rather that it is being cleared out.
Is it a fair assessment to say that even the darkness has a part in the processes of the universe, as much as there are those who would like to eliminate the darkness? The darkness, this is just my observation, the darkness is not, shall we say, an entity unto itself. The darkness is nothing more than the blockage of the light.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is a spectrum of different dimensions. And the higher you go, we would say it is a paradox, but the higher you go, the more light there is. But at the highest source, you have what you call God, or the great cosmic I am, consciousness itself, which is God. and you are aspects of that. God contains everything. So where there is light, there is dark.
Mm.
And the dark is an equilibrium, like a yin and yang symbol. Where there is one, there is balance in the other. You cannot have one without the other. That would create an imbalance. And that there is, we've said this many times before to Soma and others, that the dark forces on your planet are there partly, hugely, thank you, hugely to allow you to create more light. So they are assisting you, they are igniting you into the light. They are moving you forward by showing you the dark. It is much like, and Soma remembers that we've referenced this before with you, Richard, and your audience, of the story, the Native American story of the two wolves, where one is good and one is bad, and you have both within all of you. And it really is up to you which one you choose to be.
Right. Is the and again, I don't know whether how to phrase this exactly, but the darkness, does it have its own consciousness? And with that question, to that end, is it aware of its role, in that its role is, in a manner of speaking, short-lived, as the grand scheme of things, the big picture in the universe is, that if that's what it is showing us, then eventually we are going to find a way to minimize, I should say, put it that way, minimize the darkness. Is that a fair assessment?
That is correct. We often, thank you, we often show Soma an image of different dimensions, and at the very top you have God, the light, and at the very bottom you have the dark, the very dark. And we use this example to her because it is easy for the human mind to comprehend that, although although that is also a paradox, because that is not really the way things are. Things are more circular, but it is a good example to give to human beings of a scale, because it is a measure, it is a way to measure things. So that is often an example that we give her and others. And on the lower frequencies, the lower vibration of the dark and the negative agendas are really unconscious and unaware of the frequency of love. So therefore they are of a lower quality or element, a lower frequency, a lower vibration, a lower awareness, a lower consciousness. They are not yet expanded, but it is consciousness itself. The very source of consciousness is to experience itself more and more and more and more. And as it moves up the scale through lifetime and experiences and lifetime and experiences, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, it learns to expand itself and step up the scale of consciousness into some of the higher realms until it realizes that it is Source God itself. But on the lower frequencies, on the lower dimensions, in the darkness, there is an absence of light, and it is unaware of itself sometimes, and it is unaware of its own darkness, but there is an absence of light.
So there is never going to be a time when we will ever be without the darkness, but
Well, that is not really true.
no, okay.
What happens is that, let us take the Big Bang, for example. We've explained this to Soma before, where consciousness was born and sound was born around the same time. You could call that God, where the consciousness turned and looked at itself, and sound was born, and it began to become aware of itself. And there was an explosion of droplets of that created, there was an explosion that created individual particles, which is you, and individual souls of the whole.
Okay.
And these individual souls have gone out into the universe, which is vast and infinite, to experience itself in every form. And it grew from the darkness or the lightness of the universe, and it has gone out. You have gone out into the universe to experience everything. And once you get to a certain level of light, the universe then Soma's looking for the word. Contracts is the best way we can describe it. So your universe has exploded, and when you get to a certain level, it will contract it back into itself and begin again. And again, and again, and again. So it is a cycle of repetitive cycle. Again and again and again, where the universe, the Big Bang, the universes are created, and then they will contract and cease to exist, and then the whole process will begin again and again and again and again.
So if that's the case, trying to think of how to phrase this, because I understand what you are saying. I just want to make sure that our listeners are as well, they're understanding as well. At the same time, I'm just thinking, if that's the case, that we've been going through this cycle more out of curiosity than really, I'm not that curious, but how many times, I mean, has this been millions of times that we've gone through this cyclical process as a universe, not so much as a species, although I suppose that would be the case also, where the universe expands and then eventually it contracts and collapses in on itself, and then that implosion causes the expansion again, and it just goes back and forth like a pendulum.
Exactly. It is endless. It is an endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth. As humans, you have life, death, and rebirth. It is an endless cycle.
Okay.
Endless.
It
has no real ending or beginning. It just is.
Okay. And you know, I know that there are many people who have taken on the philosophy that the universe was created in 6,000 years. They don't believe it they claim to know it. And I still hear from science that, of course, the universe is billions of years old. Even the Earth itself is billions of years old, and so forth. And again, I don't know that for a fact, but based upon what I'm being told, I tend to lean that direction. And it seems as though if this is the case, then the next question to some would be, well, then what the heck is the whole purpose for all of this? I mean, if that's all we're doing is just going back and forth, which kind of explains on one level here on the Earth. I mean, I've been here a scant 66 years, almost 66 years on the planet, and I look at, for example, our governmental system and the process that we go through every 2 or 4 years, or however long between elections, where we're told to go out and vote and make sure that our voices are heard. And I look at the progress that we've made as a civilization, specifically the United States, and setting aside all the technological advances, it doesn't seem like we've progressed at all. We haven't moved forward. Some use the analogy of the caveman. We haven't even crossed the threshold of the cave to the outer world. That's how little we've progressed as long as we've been here. And some people feel, well, shoot, then the process is rather futile. What's the point of even being a part of it? I think I'm going to leave. Can you talk to that just a little bit in terms of, I don't know, some level of encouragement that says, hey, your participation is important.
Each and every one of you are extremely important on your planet. The time that you are in now is epic. It is off the scale. You are in such a monumental, unprecedented, epic time of a shift of consciousness on your planet. You are important. There have been great changes and great strides forward in your lifetime, in Soma's lifetime, where these conversations that you are having now were far rarer in the 80s and the 90s, even the 20s. And before that, you are a species that is evolving. And as you evolve, you will see more darkness rising. It is not that there is more darkness, but rather that the light is shining upon the darkness for the raising of consciousness on your planet. You cannot let go of something when you do not see it. When you are looking for something and it is in a cupboard that is closed, you will not find it unless you open the cupboard and expose it to find it. So that is really what is happening. You are opening cupboards, you are opening doors, you are opening drawers. Doors is a good example, because as you open the door to the dark, the light gets in and clears it. There is a huge shift on your planet. Do not be down, do not despair, do not give up hope. All of you that are here on your planet now are extremely important. There was a call, a very physical call that was put out into the universe. And the ones on your planet now heard this call. And when the call, when the call was put out eons ago, many of you were living on different star systems, different planets. You are hybrids. The universe is infinite, and you were living somewhere else in a different type of body.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard the call, and you chose to come to Earth, chosen to come to Earth, to bring about the great awakening of humanity on your planet. There are very few planets or star systems in the universe that are as restricted as Earth. Earth is a very unique school or playing ground. You do have free will, and yet you have chosen, because of that free will, you have chosen to be enslaved. You have chosen to work yourself, your way up the dimensions, the trajectory of into the light. The Earth is much older by thousands or millions of years than you are told, than your history will tell you. A good example of this is if you look at the Sphinx. Which is much older than is being reported or was reported. And now many are becoming aware of this, and science has now started to agree that actually they were mistaken in their diagnosis of how old the Sphinx is or was. There are many discoveries on your planet that are being found. We would like to add, thank you, that the Earth was once very different, that it was much smaller, and that you could largely walk around your planet from A to B without the vast amounts of water. And the Earth shifted. It was knocked off its natural axis, its natural blueprint. And you are now coming back to that. The Earth we adapted the Earth to be more suitable for human beings, to be more adaptable to human beings. In fact, there was a time on your planet when when the Earth was smaller and everything else that lived upon the Earth was bigger, from trees to plants to animals to even to giants. And there are some members of your audience, some members of the human population that would find that ridiculous. However, there are skeletal remains that are now being found amongst your populations, amongst your peoples. But everything at one point in history was larger, from trees to plants to animals to insects to human beings, which were giants. And as the Earth became bigger, you became smaller. And this was not even a natural process, but rather it was instigated, or a new experiment or a new beginning. Many understand this or know this as somewhat as being Tartaria, a reset.
At one level, you say we have free will, and there are those who are, shall we say, exerting their free will, or expressing it, maybe is a better way to put it, to the extent that I've come up with this question regarding some of the advancements that we are trying to make, put it that way. And my question has always been, because we don't always know what the outcome is going to be, or what are referred to as unintended consequences, just because we can, does that mean we should? For example, just because we can build a rocket and go to the moon, Does that mean we should? Just because we can develop a medical treatment we have one called CRISPR that's supposed to help to eliminate certain biological conditions. Just because we can, does that mean we should? And then there's the other side of that coin that is saying, well, how do we know that this isn't the path that the Creator wanted us to go to, to advance forward and so forth? And of course, if there was a third side to the coin, there are those who believe in the prophecies of a lot of the writings that have been left behind that are saying, soon it's all gonna end because everything's gonna be destroyed and this and that and the other thing. Is that question a relevant question when we are attempting to do something that we really don't know we really don't know what we're doing? For example, with this concept of nuclear fuel, nuclear power, nuclear, the bombs, as the generators and all this stuff that could actually harm and or even kill us and other species on the planet if we are not careful with it. Some say that we're like children trying to, playing with dynamite. And then again, that's just an example.
That is a good example. It is really the agenda behind the creation. Because technology in all forms, whether it is a phone or a rocket or a drone or a UFO craft, it is really that's not such a good example, but it is really the intention behind within the system. So it depends, because this really goes back to the core of what is wrong on your planet.
Mm-hmm.
Every system on your planet, at the top end of the spectrum, of the top end of the pyramid, the system is run by negative ET energies. Every system on your planet. This is now, these beings are now being removed and the light is pouring in. We are pouring in.
Mm-hmm.
There is more evidence of us in your skies. We have come out to illuminate you, to assist you. You see more of our ships and other ships. So the technology is neither good nor bad, but it depends on whose hands it lays in. This is a spiritual war on consciousness itself. All systems are run by negative ET energy. The downfall of Atlantis was deliberately created, where you were invaded by a negative alien race that needed a new home because theirs had been destroyed to the point it was unlivable for them. They went forth into the universe to find somewhere that was habitable, a new home for them. And they found your planet. But it was already inhabited. And they devised a long-term plan of how to invade your planet and how to infiltrate the people that lived on your planet at the time, who were of a higher frequency. At the time, the Atlanteans were operating on a higher consciousness because their DNA was higher. And these negative alien race infiltrated and changed your DNA. So there was a time in your history where you were more advanced than you are now. And because they adapted your DNA and lowered your frequency, your consciousness, your energy, your lifetime is shorter than it used to be. Everything is less about you than it used to be. And now you are going back to your original blueprint, much like a coil that has been stretched to its limit, to its absolute limit. And now that is being released back to its original blueprint. We are in the understanding, in the awareness, in the ability we have the ability to see what lays ahead in the future for your planet. And we have always said to Soma and many others that who we channel through, that there is a positive outcome for you, for humanity, and for your planet. We will not allow you to devolve again like you did in Atlantis, because it affects us. It affects, in fact, everything within the universe, because everything, much like a clockwork system, everything is working in conjunction with each other, much like the sun and the moon, ebbing and flowing. We are in great communication with our sisters and brothers, great communication with them, whether it be Syrians or Arcturians or Andromedans and many other different species. We are not isolated in the way that humans are, where you are unable now to communicate with us because your DNA was lowered. We foresee, thank you, we foresee a great shift in your planet where you are raising your consciousness, and we are assisting you because it affects us. In fact, we've just said it affects everything within the universe. You are not alone in this shift of consciousness. It is not limited to Earth. It's very much to do with learning, experiencing, understanding that you are a cosmic being, and even more than that, that you are love itself, which is a frequency that you can measure. And anything you measure, anything that can be measured, can be achieved because it is measurable. So, or rather, let us use the word create. Anything that you can measure, you can create. So you can create the love frequency on your planet, or you can create the opposite. You get to choose. Are you going to be a positive wolf or a negative wolf? You get to choose. You have free will on your planet.
Is that something that's available to others on other worlds?
The frequency of love?
The free will.
Much more so, because you are restricted within your free will. let us take the example of a prisoner who is imprisoned, rightly or wrongly, within your prison system, who on a consciousness level still has free will, because you are creators of your own reality. And that person has created that reality for themselves in order to learn. It is through trauma and pain that you are best adapt at raising your consciousness. If you can learn from the trauma, from the negative experiences, and it is not woo-woo, it actually comes down to science and chemicals, because when you go through trauma, DMT is a chemical that is released in the brain that opens up your psychic abilities or a psychic cord into an expansive of consciousness. So it is through trauma, whether it is individual or collective, that you get to expand.
So these perceptions that we use to create the trauma are actually necessary?
Yes. It is much like childbirth, where you are giving birth to a beautiful new beginning, a beautiful new human being, a beautiful new consciousness, but it is painful.
Yeah.
That is really what you are experiencing on a mass scale within your conscious collective of humanity, within the collective of humanity.
Very interesting. Well, we have to conclude this particular session, unfortunately, but I would invite you back again and look forward to that opportunity to talk about some other things, because this has opened up some interesting thoughts in my own mind, but I'm sure for those listeners and viewers as well. So thank you so much for sharing, and we look forward to having you back in the not too distant future and enlightening us further, because we can use to coin the phrase that's been used throughout this program, we can use all of the light and enlightenment that we can get right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
And folks, we have been talking with through Soma. She's been sharing with us through the channel. And Soma, we thank you for allowing yourself to be used once again. I do find it interesting too that, you know, it's like on the one hand we have free will and we have chosen, as was stated, to be enslaved, and yet at the same time we still have the free will to shift out of that, and we'll maybe talk about that in our next program. But thank you so much for sharing with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard. And I do have a lot of I've created the Cosmic Starseed Academy, and I also do readings. So if anyone would like to check out my website, it's somaarah.love.
And we'll be linked to that website. We thank you again, and we thank you for listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love Talal, Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I will see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for being in my life and letting me be in yours. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.